The Black Friday BOGO sale is here at All Family Pharmacy, and let me tell you, this is the kind of deal that actually matters. From November 24th through December 2nd, when you buy one ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or mebendazole, you get another one absolutely free. So at a time when Americans are tired of being lectured and restricted by bureaucrats, this is your chance to be prepared on your terms. No politics, no gatekeepers, just real options that put you in control. Here's how simple it is. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone. Place your order online, and a licensed physician reviews it immediately. Once approved, your medication ships straight to your door, fast, private, and secure. This Black Friday event lasts only 1 week, and supplies are limited. So when the inventory is gone, that's it. No extensions, no second chances. Just like every other real deal worth talking about seriously. If you want to stay ready, stay protected, and stay independent, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone before December 2nd and lock in your Black Friday BOGO deal. Take control of your health, stay prepared, and stay free.
Discover Mercer Labs Museum of Art and Technology in New York City, where creativity meets innovation. This holiday season, immerse yourself in a world of interactive exhibits, digital masterpieces, and unforgettable experiences. Whether you're with family, friends, or exploring solo, Mercer Labs invites you to see art and technology in a whole new light. Get your tickets now at mercerlabs.com and redefine your museum experience.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You are now entering the Stone Zone. There is sad and shocking news as we approach this Thanksgiving holiday. 2 National Guardsmen in the District of Columbia have been shot near the White House, and both are in critical condition. My sources on the ground near the shooting, law enforcement sources, tell me a shooter is in custody, had also been wounded, but their wounds are non-threatening. The Metropolitan Police Department Homicide Division is standing by should either one of the guardsmen die. Predictably, the FBI and the ATF are already fighting over who takes custody of the firearms and the ballistics in this horrific situation. But as I say, there's substantial evidence from my sources on the ground with law enforcement that this was a targeted ambush. I'm sorry to say this, other than the fact that everyone listening should pray now for the lives of those 2 who were serving their country, preserving order in the District of Columbia. But unfortunately, what we're seeing here is very likely to become the norm. Those on the left who can't live with the results of the last presidential election, those in elected office who urge members of our military services to disobey orders by the commander-in-chief when, in evidently their opinion, orders are illegal, but when none of them can cite any illegal or unconstitutional order given by the president or the Secretary of Defense, are laying the groundwork for a civil war in this country, a false flag operation, could be like January 6th, in which they seek to justify mass violence and mayhem instead of worrying about trying to save our country. It is a very sad time in America in this sense, but I saw Jesse Waters talking about it on Fox the other day. My friend Alex Jones has talked about it for at least a year. They are laying the groundwork for some kind of mass insurgency, which they will, of course, claim is being done to defend democracy. That's the thing about the American left. They all studied the rules book by Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky was the famous communist agitator and organizer, and his most important rule, of course, was always accuse your opponents, your enemy, of that which you yourself are doing. The result is the kind of senseless violence and danger that we see today in the District of Columbia. Please join me in praying for those 2 National Guardsmen who, based on my sources, cling to life. Meanwhile, the election interference case in Georgia, part of the mass-based illegal conspiracy to deprive Donald Trump from the presidency has now finally come to an end. A motion filed on Wednesday morning in the Fulton County Superior Court was signed by Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee, officially dismissing the charges. Georgia Prosecuting Attorney's Counsel Director Peter Skandalakis, I want to get that correct, stated that continuing the election interference case against President Trump would not serve the interests of justice, adding that continuing that case would be both illogical and unduly burdensome and costly for the state of Fulton County. Let's be very clear. This case began in August of 2013 when President Trump, along with 18 other alleged co-conspirators, including former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, were indicted on specious charges of election interference. It was claimed through preparing a slate of alternative electors while the election results were in dispute and being investigated that President Trump and his co-defendants committed some sort of crime, which is, of course, absurd. Alternative elector slates have appeared several times throughout our nation's history without any fanfare or controversy. Specifically, in 1960, the closest presidential election in American history, it was thought on election night that Vice President Richard Nixon had carried the vote in Hawaii, and the elector slate set up by the Republicans was moved forward. But the campaign of Massachusetts Senator John F. Kennedy disagreed, insisted that once all of the absentee ballots were counted, that Kennedy would emerge the winner, and therefore they formed an alternative slate of electors. Nobody prosecuted John F. Kennedy or his campaign manager, Larry O'Brien. If one looks at the election of 1877 with Thomas Jefferson, there were multiple alternative slates. So Jack Smith, abetted by miscreants like Ari Melber at MSNBC, have promulgated this myth that even contesting or questioning the outcome of an election, which every American has a First Amendment free speech right to do, is some kind of crime. The prosecution of President Trump and 18 others in Georgia was a sham from the start, which is why the public never bought it. Fani Willis, the prosecuting attorney, and her ambulance-chasing personal injury lawyer boyfriend, who she appointed as a special prosecutor, now, in my opinion, should both be disbarred for their participation in this legal outrage. President Trump won in 2024 despite, or perhaps due in part to, the kind of lawfare waged against him. It was the ridiculous, overreaching lawfare that showed the public how President Trump was being victimized by the deep state, vindicating everything he'd said for years. Now President Trump is vindicated once more in the state of Georgia, as is former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, as the Georgia case has been dropped. Fani Willis can choke on that as far as I'm concerned. Last week, 26-year-old Bethany McGee was burned alive while riding the CTA Blue Line subway train in Chicago. The alleged perpetrator, a 50-year-old Lawrence Reed, who is now being charged federally with committing a terrorist act after reportedly dosing McGee in lighter fluid and setting her ablaze. Reed is an African-American man who's been arrested 72 times but was let back out on the street by the Cook County Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez. Chicago and Illinois, much like New York and New York City, has cashless bail. And therefore Reed, despite his record of 72 previous violent arrests, was put back out on the street. Days before Judge Molina Gonzalez ordered his release, the same man, Lawrence Reed, viciously struck a social worker inside a locked psychiatric unit. Assistant State's Attorney Jerry Lynn Gumilla said that Reed posed a real and present threat, and an electronic ankle monitor would not protect the victims or the community from another vicious, random, and spontaneous attack. but once again, Cook County Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez, a Democrat, released the dangerous criminal anyway. President Trump himself commented on the tragic circumstances of this case. The president said on Truth Social, "They burned this beautiful woman riding a train, a man who'd been arrested 72 times. It's horrible what's happening in Chicago. They let him out again. The liberal judges would let him out again. We have a governor who thinks it's wonderful that like only 7 people were killed this weekend. We can make Chicago a safe city in a period of 4 weeks. In a period of 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, it could be totally safe. And the people of Chicago would want us to go there. But the mayor is incompetent, and on top of the fact that he's a big, fat slob." Gotta love Donald Trump, tells it exactly the way it is. May not be politically correct, it may not be oratory, but it is always clear where the president stands. The Bethany McGee case is eerily similar to what happened to Irina Zarutska, who was stabbed to death, as you may remember, by a maniac in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's an inevitable result of a DEI justice system here, where certain perpetrators are let free because of their race or their socioeconomic circumstances in an effort to remedy historical injustice and lack of privilege. This is a genocidal mindset that will only lead to widespread bloodshed if the left is not defeated and destroyed in the next election. As I said earlier, they don't plan to go to an election. They are trying to agitate for violence and mayhem even as we speak. Meanwhile, the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is demanding internal documents from the Department of Justice that demonstrate the extensive contacts between the Department of Justice and a left-wing front group, the Southern Poverty Law Center, during the Biden administration. The SPLC is an organization that regularly quotes evangelical Christians and mainstream conservatives with Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan. It is largely a fundraising ruse lining the pockets of the officials of the NPLC and has been used as a resource for left-wing domestic extremists to find targets for their terrorist attacks. The Southern Poverty Law Center also included Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization, on their hate map, only removing it after the violent murder of my friend Charlie Kirk. Congressman Jim Jordan sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi notifying her that his committee has continued to investigate the Biden-Harris Department of Justice and the FBI's weaponization of federal law enforcement resources against conservative-minded Americans. Chairman Jim Jordan sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi notifying her that his committee is continuing to investigate the Biden-Harris Department of Justice and the FBI's weaponization of federal law enforcement resources against conservative-minded Americans. Chairman Jordan believes that Bondi's predecessor, Biden Attorney General Merrick Garland, thank God that guy never made it to the Supreme Court, colluded with the radical left-wing Southern Poverty Law Center on matters relating to federal civil rights enforcement. Chairman Jordan cited records obtained by America First Legal, indicating that the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division actually regularly met with SPLC staffers, sharing with them privileged data, and let officials from the Southern Poverty Law Center operatives train federal prosecutors. So it should come as no surprise why the feds let Antifa thugs slide while using every lawfare tactic to come after pro-Trump patriots like me who voiced opposition to election fraud during the Biden years. Meanwhile, in a move very close to my heart, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is speaking out against the nationwide epidemic of Americans dressing like bums in their pajamas and slippers while traveling in American airports. Secretary Duffy feels that it's time for Americans to dress up when they travel. I couldn't agree more. I'm Roger Stone. You're listening to Stone Zone, and we'll be right back.
This shrimp and coconut sauce is divine. What's your secret?
Goya coconut milk.
How does it taste so good?
It's all in that real coconut flavor and that rich, creamy texture.
What about thickeners and added sugars?
None. Just smooth, coconutty goodness.
What can I make with it?
From curries to sweet treats like coconut flan, the possibilities are endless.
Goya coconut milk. Take your cooking to the next level. No question about it. Find it in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
You don't need AI agents, which may sound weird coming from ServiceNow, the leader in AI agents. The truth is, AI agents need you. Sure, they'll process, predict, even get work done autonomously. But they don't dream, read a room, rally a team, and they certainly don't have shower thoughts, pivotal hallway chats, or big ideas. People do. And people, when given the best AI platform, they're freed up to do the fulfilling work they want to do. To see how ServiceNow puts AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back in the Stone Zone. A sad update from the District of Columbia. Mayor Marion Bowser has now confirmed that the two National Guardsmen shot in the streets of D.C. have indeed passed. That makes this a targeted assassination based on evidence. I hear this from law enforcement officials who are my own sources on the ground in D.C., and the investigation is turned over immediately to the homicide unit of the Metropolitan Police Department. This is where we are in America today, where the violence fomented by the radical left causes people to shoot members of our military who are merely performing their quite legal and constitutional duties to keep order in the District of Columbia. I'm certain as we approach Thanksgiving that everyone listening prays for the families of those guardsmen who gave their life in the service to their country. Before the break, we were talking about the fact that the U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is speaking out against the nationwide epidemic of Americans dressing in pajamas and sweatpants and sweatshirts and slippers and sneakers while traveling through America's airports. I couldn't agree more. Secretary Duffy said, whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt, I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas when we come to the airport. Now, look, I don't expect everyone to dress like me. I have a distinctive style of dress. In fact, this Friday, I'm introducing my very own menswear collection, kind of the basics for young men starting out, something I've wanted to do for years. Over the years, men of style and good taste have urged me to introduce my own line of menswear, and I'm actually going to do it. But what Secretary Duffy points out here about the degradation to civility that's occurred in recent years among travelers, encouraging a common courtesy from those flying over Thanksgiving holiday, I think really hits the mark. It's a shame that the Transportation Secretary has to come out and even make these comments. But when Americans show up at the airports looking slovenly and disgusting, it suggests that something is deeply wrong with the psyche of our people. When America was great, nobody would have dreamed of dressing like that at the airport. Now we have fallen, and the standards of the people have fallen as well. So part of making America great again is America looking great again. Dressing with class and self-respect, whether it's in the airport or everywhere. I'm not suggesting that you have to wear a suit and tie or a dress to travel, but sweatpants and sweatshirt and or pajamas, really out of the question. This is why I'm very proud to launch my own personal menswear collection next Friday. For years, Men's of Style have been urging me to produce my own line of custom menswear, so finally on Black Friday, I'm going to do it. This isn't an advertisement. It's just to mention that this is something I've always wanted to do, and finally I'm going to do it. Meanwhile, the state of Texas is the first in the nation to purchase Bitcoin. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency were largely outlawed, and those who produced them were harassed in the Biden years, but not so under Donald Trump. We'll fill you in when we return. I'm Roger Stone, and you're listening to The Stone Zone.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and bored babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
The Lincoln Wishlist sales event is happening now. Here's what's on everyone's wish list. Enjoying holiday jingles with brilliant 3D audio that surrounds you? Check. Watching snow flurries through the panoramic Vista roof? Check. Packing up presents with the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Check. Everything you want. All standard on the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at Lincoln.com for exceptional offers on 2025 Lincoln vehicles today.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. Well, the Biden administration was vehemently opposed to both Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because they didn't want an independent monetary system that wasn't controlled by the U.S. government. President Donald Trump and his administration recognize that cryptocurrency and Bitcoin are the wave of the future, and therefore they have passed new regulations on both that are far more freedom-oriented. Now the state of Texas is the first in the nation to purchase Bitcoin for its own strategic reserves. They purchased roughly $5 million worth of Bitcoin at the bargain price of $87,000 per Bitcoin, as the world's leading cryptocurrency has retained value of well over $100,000 throughout most of the year. A law enacted earlier in the year permitted Texas to buy and hold Bitcoin as a strategic asset, store it in secure hard wallets controlled by the state for at least 5 years, and allow state departments to accept and convert cryptocurrencies to Bitcoin. This, of course, follows a directive by President Trump to make America the Bitcoin capital of the world. Upon entry into the White House, President Trump immediately reversed the policies of the Biden White House, which were dubbed Operation Choke Point 2.0, which effectively debanked Bitcoin businesses and treated them like they were trafficking illegal guns and drugs. I personally know a number of entrepreneurs in the cryptocurrency space who faced vicious prosecutions when in fact they'd actually done nothing wrong. President Trump signed the SMART Act, which also created a framework for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency investment, innovation, and growth that will have positive ramifications for this country for generations to come. Bitcoin, a decentralized currency instrument that cannot be forged or counterfeited, should give us hope that technological development can give us a freer and more prosperous future. President Trump's Bitcoin policies are among the most important in his MAGA portfolio. Yesterday, I addressed a rising criticism of White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles is the first woman Chief of Staff. She ran President Donald Trump's campaign in 2024, which, to my mind, as a veteran of 13 national presidential campaigns, was the best-run Republican presidential campaign in American history. Now, some of her critics have said falsely that Susie Wiles worked as a lobbyist for the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer. That is categorically false. Others have said that she's affiliated with the World Economic Forum or that she's a globalist. Two more lies. Here's what I can tell you. Susie Wiles was the person who engineered the historic alliance between Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that built an entire new electoral coalition joining MAGA and MAHA, the movement to make America healthy again. It is Susie Wiles who is pushing the Make America Healthy agenda supported by Robert F. Kennedy. That's why Secretary Kennedy posted his support for Susie Wiles online. It is Susie Wiles who even today is pushing the working group headed by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, to study the integrity of the electronic voting machines and the questions regarding paper mail-in ballots in the 2020 elections. It's Susie Wiles who's pushing for the prosecution of those involved in the greatest single abuse of power in American history, the Russian collusion hoax. At the same time, it would be a mistake for anyone to think that Donald Trump is managed, handled, scripted, or that he isn't his own man. I can tell you that Susie Wiles ran the best presidential campaign in history, and she is running an extraordinarily well-organized and orderly White House operation. But the decisions aren't being made by Susie Wiles or anyone else on the White House staff. Decisions are made by one man, Donald J. Trump. And so far, his decisions, for example, the decision to renegotiate our tariff agreements with every one of our trading partners, have made America not millions, not billions, but trillions of dollars in new revenue. It's the president who has solved at least 8 conflicts around the globe and who may be, even as we speak, on the cusp of solving the war between Russia and Ukraine. So those who attack Susie Wiles and say that she's a globalist, that she's an insider, they don't know her political history. First of all, she's been a friend of mine for 25 years. That's because she and I worked together in the presidential campaign of Ronald Reagan against George H.W. Bush. Then we worked together in the presidential campaign against Donald Trump, against George W. Bush, and then neocon Republican Marco Rubio. Then she headed the campaign of outsider Rick Scott to become governor of the state of Florida. Susie Wiles, who is, of course, very low-key and stays out of the spotlight, could be the single most effective operative in American political history. I think those who attack her do so out of jealousy. She is the daughter, of course, of legendary sports announcer Pat Summerall. But I can tell you the situation around President Donald Trump would be chaos without her steady hand. So I'm tired of those who attack her baselessly, claiming that she's a globalist or she's undermining the president's agenda. Last week, somebody said that it was Susie Wiles who was delaying the announcement of the childhood vaccination schedule. I checked with RFK directly. That's false, and that schedule will be announced shortly. Tired of hearing this. People say, oh, it's raining outside. It must be Susie Wiles' fault. Susie Wiles deserves credit for the most successful presidential campaign in Republican history and for the strong start that President Trump has gotten in his historic second term as president. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump's approval ratings remain steady among Republican voters, despite the fact that there's a lot of fighting inside of his base. If one looks on social media, a composite of polling from Quinnipiac, AP, NORC, Marquette, and Gallup polls shows that 87% of Republicans remain strongly supportive of President Donald Trump, which is almost 10 points ahead of the favorability of Bush or Obama among their own party faithful at this exact time of their presidencies. So the recent spat with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who will be departing from her seat on January 5th of next year, has fueled speculation that President Trump is losing hold of his base or that the movement to make America great again is disintegrating. The poll numbers show that this is not indeed the case. Those in the America First movement, those who support the movement to make America great again, know that President Trump took a bullet for America, narrowly surviving an assassin's attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. He has the ironclad resolve. I saw him just last week, but I know that he's up to the task that is necessary to lead us back to national glory. These stories about his being in ill health or being angry or being frustrated, completely and totally false. The Donald Trump I saw 10 days ago in the Oval Office is the same Donald Trump that I have known for almost 50 years. Confident, funny, easygoing, but deeply committed to change. Whatever day-to-day drama may occur, oftentimes promulgated by those in the fake news, doesn't change the fact that Donald Trump was placed where he is today at this very moment to save our country. Look, I was not always a saint. Before my own personal redemption, I did some pretty crazy things. But I look at the events of Butler, Pennsylvania, and I can only conclude that President Donald Trump's life was saved for some greater purpose. I believe that greater purpose is to turn this country around. President Trump needs to stay laser focused on his agenda. Deporting violent, illegal gangbangers and criminals, creating jobs, creating fairer and more beneficial trade policies, and removing America from the path of endless foreign wars. Let me add to that the need to bring food prices down further. Food prices are coming down, but they're not as low as they were at the end of President Trump's first term. Gasoline prices have come down, but they haven't come down enough. They are not yet as low as they were during President Trump's historic first term. And we do need to focus on the affordability of housing. President Trump and the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency are very focused on the need to cut interest rates further in order to make home ownership more affordable for all Americans, particularly younger Americans. If the president does, as I expect he will, sticks to the basics of his agenda, he will lead us to victory again in the midterm elections. It's extraordinary to me that some in the Republican Party have already thrown in the towel on the 2026 elections. I can tell you, given my 50 years in the corroded rectum of the two-party system, where I've seen it all, that in politics, a week is a lifetime. And therefore, no one can say how robust the economy will be more than a year from now when we have elections. No one can predict what the crime rates are more than a year from now when we have an election. No one can predict what interest rates will be when we have an election, a little more than a year from now. But those, like my friend Laura Loomer, who want to throw in the towel, I think are making a horrific error. The American people voted for fundamental change. Let me point out, under the leadership of Susie Wiles, Republicans won the popular vote for President of the United States for the first time in recent history. So Donald Trump is going to defy the odds again. Yesterday on this show, I predicted to you that AOC was going to be the Democrat candidate for president of the United States. Mark it down, write it down, because you heard it here in the Stone Zone first. But I'm now going to make a second prediction. Republicans will actually increase their margin in both the House and the Senate by the time we hold the off-term elections. It may not seem like it today, but President Trump has a solid plan for America's future, and I know him. He's stubborn, he's determined, and he will stick to it. On this Thanksgiving occasion, which will be tomorrow, I'm thankful for the fact that my wife survived stage 4 cancer, but I'm also thankful for the fact that I'm a free man, thanks to the fact that President Donald Trump saw through the fact that I was being prosecuted, not because I did anything wrong, not because I broke any laws, but because I refused to give in to pressure from prosecutors to bear false witness against the president, to turn on him, Michael Cohen style, because they couldn't find any Russian collusion. So they sought, in my case, to invent it. I refused, and through the grace of God, President Trump saw through that vile persecution of me and gave me a full and unconditional pardon, which, by the way, is hard to find on the internet. You'll read that my sentence was commuted. But if you go to my website, you can see an actual image of my full and unconditional presidential pardon. That's what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving holiday. Think about what you and your family should be thankful for, but while we're at it, let's pray for those 2 Army National Guardsmen who recently died in the District of Columbia, as well as every man and woman who's in uniform serving this country today. Pray for their safety. I'm Roger Stone, and we'll be right back.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... There, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
From writer-director Rian Johnson.
The Holy Grail. A perfectly impossible crime.
Wake Up Dead Man has critics singing its praises.
God help me. Anything else?
It's a deliciously entertaining mystery.
That's nice.
It's certified fresh.
It's a miracle!
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
It's the best Knives Out movie yet.
This case is solvable, right?
Oh, you'll see. It's fun.
Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig. Now played in select theaters on Netflix December 12th. Rated PG-13.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault, a new series streaming now only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Blink. Blink Friday starts now with up to 65% off Blink Smart Security. Check on your pets all season long with new Blink Mini 2K Plus cameras. See your gifts arrive in head-to-toe view with Blink Video Doorbell. Ready to use right out of the box. Just unwrap Blink and go. From pet parents to jet setters to busy families, Blink Friday deals have your holidays covered. Shop now at Amazon.com/Blink.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. If you're just tuning in, or if you didn't hear the news earlier today, 2 National Guardsmen serving in the District of Columbia were the targets of an attack. Both were wounded. One of them shot in the head. The perpetrator was also shot, but non-life-threatening injuries. There seem to be conflicting reports as to whether the 2 National Guardsmen have indeed died. By the time you hear this, I think we will know the sad truth. Everybody I know in the Stone Zone joins me in praying for these guardsmen and their families at this horrific time. This is not a very great Thanksgiving present but it is symptomatic of the violence, the mayhem that is being sown, for example, by members of the Senate and the Congress who urge members of our military to ignore orders from the commander-in-chief that they say are illegal, but then cannot cite a single illegal or unconstitutional order. It is most disturbing. Here is some good news. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, has announced that they're ending all research on monkeys in their facilities after the research was believed to be leading to the facilitation of deadly diseases like tuberculosis to the public, and the ethics of the program were coming under scrutiny as well. I was very active during President Trump's first term as a volunteer for a group called White Coat Labs, where we convinced President Donald Trump to end the inhumane and scientifically worthless torture of dogs, cats, and other primates by many in the medical establishment within the U.S. government. Dr. Anthony Fauci, most famous for conducting an experiment in which the heads of beagles were locked into these compartments and were eaten alive by sand fleas. Could somebody please explain the medical or scientific value of such a quote-unquote experiment? A man who will facilitate the murder of a defenseless animal is the perfect person to oversee a pandemic in which millions were injured or died. This is good news coming from the CDC. Janine McCarthy of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine said, "The move is historic. For the first time, a U.S. agency is choosing modern, human-relevant science over a failed system of monkey experiments. Now that the CDC could use that funding to transition to human-relevant research and ensure that these monkeys are sent to sanctuaries for the remainder of their lives." The CDC just sent a message to the entire biomedical establishment. The era of harsh and inhumane experiments on defenseless animals is over. Research shows that 69 cases of tuberculosis were actually found in the monkeys who were used in CDC experimentation, with another 16 tuberculosis cases identified after the experiments. This will hopefully be the start of a trend in which all government-funded mad science comes to an end. We saw what happened when Dr. Fauci decided to fund gain-of-function studies with bats in Wuhan. Millions died. It was time for the United States government to start operating with morality and decency for a change. Hopefully, this will be the end of all experimentation on defenseless animals. This is something Mrs. Stone and I feel very deeply about, and good news indeed coming from the CDC. I'm Roger Stone. You've been listening to the Stone Zone here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving at our home. I hope you are too. Until tomorrow, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
The Black Friday BOGO sale is here at All Family Pharmacy, and let me tell you, this is the kind of deal that actually matters. From November 24th through December 2nd, when you buy one ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or mebendazole, you get another one absolutely free. So at a time when Americans are tired of being lectured and restricted by bureaucrats, this is your chance to be prepared on your terms. No politics, no gatekeepers, just real options that put you in control. Here's how simple it is. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone Stone. Place your order online and a licensed physician reviews it immediately. Once approved, your medication ships straight to your door. Fast, private, and secure. This Black Friday event lasts only 1 week and supplies are limited. So when the inventory is gone, that's it. No extensions, no second chances. Just like every other real deal worth talking about seriously. If you want to stay ready, stay protected, and stay independent, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone before December 2nd and lock in your Black Friday BOGO deal. Take control of your health. Stay prepared and stay free.